I'm Dr. Mark Hatala, and I want to welcome you to my office. I'm a cognitive scientist who studies time travel by replicating days from the past. So everything that someone who was alive on a particular day would have been exposed to, from early morning newspapers through late night television and everything in between. The day that we're talking about in this video is February 9th, 1964. That's my George Harrison imitation. Which is the night that the Beatles made their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. And what we're going to be talking about in this video are the television shows that were on in primetime on February 9th, 1964 that weren't the Ed Sullivan Show. And so it's the Judy Garland Show, Bonanza, and What's My Line? But let's get started by talking about the Judy Garland Show. Now, Judy Garland was a famous Hollywood star. I can't really give you a sufficient brief biography of her, but she was in things like The Wizard of Oz. She was in all of the Andy Hardy movies. And in the 1950s, she had a series of successful concerts in Las Vegas where she was paid, it was either $55,000 a night or $55,000 a week, but it was a record at the time. And so she had a lot of money problems, though, and tax problems. And in 1961, CBS came to her and said, how about if we have a variety series that you're the host of, and we'll pay you $24 million for 4 years, and we'll sign a contract on that. So she was very much in favor of that. But they started the show in 1963. And it was a total disaster. They went through 3 different producers and 1 co-star, who was Jerry Van Dyke. Now, it started as a variety show where they would have different guests on every week. And you can find this in other places on the YouTube, but she would have guests like Barbra Streisand on, and it was clear that she couldn't stand her. And there was some kind of a rivalry going on. So what they decided to do midway through the first season, and it includes the episode that's included the February 9th, 1964, is they decided, she's a good singer, let's just have her sing for the entire episode. Now, I can't show you parts where she's singing because YouTube will shut me down or say that it's a copyright infringement. And so here's a selection from the Judy Garland Show where she's changing costumes on stage. So enjoy.
I want to make this like a real concert, So I want any changes of clothes I'll do right on stage. But I don't mean that. I know this is a family show, but could I have my dressing room? That Camelot dressing room. Robert Goulet should come in. Pardon me, I say, oh dear. Aha. Well, hi. This is how I got started in show business, Punch and Judy. Some of this, if I can get this dress off, it's going to be really something smooth. Sing along with Judy. What's the matter? Well, anyway, some of the songs you're going to hear tonight are sort of nostalgic. And to some people, that means corny. But as far as I'm concerned, being nostalgic is being kind of, nice. It's a nifty way of life. And strangely enough, you don't know what's going on back here. It's the most amazing. Strangely enough, the most nostalgic songs seem to have been written during wartime. And I guess that's because a war somehow makes people join together and forget their personal problems. And it's too bad that it takes a war to do that, but that's the way it's always been. So it's actually been almost, where did I get my pants on here? It's been about 50 years. It's been about 50 years since the end of World War I, actually. And yet we're all still singing the songs that were written during that time, and they're very, very good songs. Songs of hope and songs of inspiration, patriotism, songs of victory, and songs of coming home. Let's try that.
So you might be asking yourself, why was the Judy Garland Show canceled? One word, Bonanza. And it's not because Bonanza was filmed in color. It was that it was the #1 show on television from 1964 to 1967. And it was in the exact same time slot as the Judy Garland Show. And so therefore, something had to give. Now, today's episode, the February 9th, 1964 episode, is actually a pretty good one. Although it doesn't have Little Joe or Michael Landon in it, or Dan Blocker, who plays Hoss, which was pretty unusual because Little Joe was in just about every show they made. I think they made 431 episodes, and he just wasn't in 14 of them. But this one involves Parnell Roberts, who plays the oldest son of the Cartwright family. And he has a love interest who owns a ranch. Her name is Laura Dayton, and it was played by the actress Kathy Brown. But the problem was, for Parnell Roberts at least, is that he wanted to leave the series. Why, you might ask? Why would somebody want to leave a #1 series? Well, really two reasons. One was that he thought it was ridiculous that he was playing a man in his 30s who kept on going to his father for approval and advice. It just didn't mesh with a 1960s kind of mentality. The other problem was that where most series shot 22 episodes a year, Bonanza shot 34 episodes a year. And so the workload was much greater. Now, like I said, he wanted to leave the show. And so that was why they had the ranch owner as a love interest, because they thought they can marry him off to her, and then he can make periodic special appearances on the show after that, so they could still have all the Cartwrights together. Now, he decided to stay with the show. And, I should say this, though, too. They decided to introduce a new character named Will Cartwright, who was a nephew of Lorne Greene, who plays the father. And the idea was that way they still have 3 Cartwright boys. So what happened was Parnell Roberts decided to stay on the show until 1967, and they had too many Cartwrights, and so they married Will Cartwright off to the ranch owner, and then we never saw them again. When Parnell Roberts left the show in 1967, they said that he went off to sea, and he was never seen again. So this is right at the beginning where he goes to his girlfriend's ranch because he thinks the foreman is not doing a very good job. So let's take a look.
You still Mrs. Dayton's foreman, or are you just her night watchman?
Trouble with my eyes, Cartwright. Just give them a rest.
I'd say you're having a lot of trouble with them. I just rode up your east fence line. It's still shot through with dry rot. Lane, I told you about it 3 weeks ago. Why haven't you done something about it?
Just because you're courting wit every week don't give you no right to give orders around here.
It's going to be a lot easier fixing your fence than chasing stock all over the Nevada territory.
Now, why don't you worry about the widow and let me worry about the stock?
I don't know what's eating you, but it's obvious you're not getting the work done around here, so why don't you just pick up your wages and move on, huh?
Cartwright, why don't you go on up to the house and hold your little woman's knitting yarn for her? Or whatever it is you two do together.
Our last show came on at 10:30 on the night of February 9th, 1964. And it's What's My Line, which was on for a long time and even longer in syndication. The clip that I want to show you involves Jane Fonda, who was promoting a movie at that time. You'll be happy that I cut it down to like 1:30. because a lot of the puns that they tell are absolutely awful. So things like absinthe makes the heart grow fonda, which is utterly terrible. But let's take a look.
All right, panel. As you know, in this case, a different form of questioning, Mr. Darren, particularly one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And let's start with you tonight, Mr. Darren.
Are you in the theatrical profession?
Yep.
Miss Kilgallen?
Are you primarily a movie actress?
Yep.
Mr. Cerf?
Are you the kind of movie actress who would raise John Daly's blood pressure several degrees just by sitting next to him?
The nicest thing that's been said about me and yours, Bennett, but the answer would be yes. Miss Francis?
Are you in a picture that is open at the present time?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Darren.
Do you have one coming out very shortly, which is getting an awful lot of attention in the press?
Yeah.
Miss Kilgallen?
Did you recently have lunch with the Queen of Greece?
No.
2 down, a date to go, Mr. Cerf.
Have you got a father named Henry Fonda?
Yes.
Then you're Jane.
That's
Now I have complete versions of each episode that I talked about in this video on my website, timetravelsimplified.com. And I'll put the links below so that you can watch them if you like. And while you're there, why not become a time traveler and buy my book, Beatles in America, February 9th, 1964. It's guaranteed. Our motto is, it's time travel or it's free. I also put a link to my Patreon account below if you would like to support my research further. And I would ask you to like and subscribe and share this video. And otherwise, have a great day.